All right, class. So today we are learning something completely new. We got to move on. And so the past few days online learning, we've been reviewing GCF, trinomials, and so we have to know exactly what to do for these two guys to bring it down into one. Today we're learning factor by grouping. And so, like for example, like if I gave you something like this. If I gave you something like that, that's a trinomial. And so if I ask you to group this, or if I ask you to factor this, you do your two sets of parentheses, you put your x in the front of it. Then you bring the last term out to the side. You list the combinations, but I think y'all know this by now. Y'all can just look at this and know this would be plus 2, and this would be plus 2, and that'd be it. And then, for example, when I give you something like this, if I give you 5x squared plus 10x. All right, obviously, that's not 3 terms, that's 2 terms, and so we'd have to do the GCF. GCF for this, we'd look at the numbers 5 and 10. 5 goes into both of them. And then I'd ask you to factor out a variable, and you'd say they all have at least 1x. And so then, all right, what's left? Well, we do our parentheses. 5 divided by 5 is just 1. You don't have to write the 1. And then x squared, you take out an x, you have an x left. And then 10 divided by 5 is going to be 2. You take out an x, so it's no longer there. So that'd be the GCF. All right. And so these two methods were combined into one for factor by grouping. All right. So let's try to get to that. There we go. Still trying to figure this out. 1 second. All right, let's take a look at this. So factor by grouping. Notice there are 4 terms. All right, we can't do factor by trinomials because we have to have 3 terms. This one is 4 terms. It's not 2 terms. It's not 1 term. To factor by grouping, you always have to have 4 terms. If you take a look at this, I'm going to look at number 2, 4 terms. Number 3, 4 terms. Number 4, 4 terms. All of them have to have 4 terms to factor by grouping. So that's a big dead giveaway. If the problem has 4 terms and it says factor, then you're going to have to factor by grouping. To do this, all right, we have to take the GCF of the first 2 terms. So just the first 2 terms, we got to find the GCF. All right, so the first step we're going to do, so we're going to do 1 set of parentheses for the first 2 terms. All right. And so what's in common with 16 and 12? Well, hopefully you know the GCF of 16 and 12 is going to be 4. You look at the variables. First term has 3, second term has 2 A's, so they all have at least 2 A's. All right, so now what's left of those 2 terms? What's left? All right, 16 divided by 4 is going to be 4. Do a different color. All right, we got 4. All right, and then we have an A left. All right, 12 divided by 4 is going to be 3. That's 3. All right, and we took out both of those A's. So that's going to be it for the first 2 terms. Now, look at the second 2 terms. All right, look at the second two terms and tell me the GCF of the second two terms. Well, 28 and 21. We know that there's a 7 that's in common with both of those. All right, and they don't both have an A because the 21 don't have an A. All right, so now we got to tell what's left. All right, 28 divided by 7 is going to be 4. We didn't bring out an A, so just keep the A in there. And then 21 divided by 7 is going to be 3. All right, and so now we're going to have two sets of parentheses, and we're going to have two terms on the outside of the parentheses. That's called your GCF. When you're doing this, you have to have both sets of parentheses like equal to each other. They both have to be the same exact set of parentheses. And in this case, we do. We got 4a plus 3. We got 4a plus 3. That is a way you know you did it right. And so if you have 4a plus 3 and then you have something over here, if you have like 10a plus 20, you know you did something wrong. Both of these parentheses have to be exactly equal. They have to be the same exact thing. All right. Now, when they're the same exact thing, now we can move on to the next step. And so now we're going to carry down one set of the parentheses because, I mean, why carry down both sets of parentheses if they equal the same exact thing? All right, so I'm going to bring down 4a plus 3. All right. And so that's gone. That's gone. All right. Now, the two things outside the parentheses, since they're the outsiders, we're going to put them in parentheses by themselves. All right. And so we're going to make another set of parentheses, and we're going to make those two outside guys in the parentheses by themselves. So 4a squared plus 7. And that is it. You are completely done. That is factored by grouping. All right, and so this, when it asks factor each completely, this would be your answer. Okay. If you have any questions, make sure and tell me on the group feed. Hey, I didn't understand that, or anything. Let's do it. Let's do another problem. Scroll through here. Let's look for something with some big numbers, or let's do this one. Let's do number 4. All right, so number 4, telling us to factor by grouping. All right, dead giveaway is 4 terms. So we know we can't do the 2 sets of parentheses for trinomials. We can't do GCF. And so we're going to do the factor by grouping. So first step is we're going to do we're going to take the GCF for the first 2 terms, 8 and 12. And so, yeah, 2 goes into both of them. But what's something bigger? Something bigger would be 4. All right, so we got a 4. All right, then how many V's do I have? I have 3 V's on the first term, and I have 2 V's on the second term. So I can bring out V squared. All right, so now I do my parentheses. So 8 divided by 4 is going to be 2. And then V3, we took out 2 V's. It's going to be 1 V left. Now we got 12 divided by 4. That's going to be plus 3. All right, and V squared, and we took out 2 V's. So that's done. That is just the first 2 terms. Just think of that as GCF just for the first 2 terms. Now we're going to take the GCF of the last 2 terms. All right, and so now we're going to take the GCF of the last 2 terms, 10 and 15. All right, and so we're going to bring out a plus 5. Okay, we're going to do our parentheses. 10 divided by 5 is going to be 2. We didn't bring out a V because this has a V, this one don't. So we couldn't bring out a V. So we're just going to keep the V right there with the 2. All right, 15 divided by 5 is going to be 3. All right. So this is where you check yourself. You look at both sets of parentheses and you make sure they're exactly the same. If they're not exactly the same, then you need to erase that step and redo this because you didn't take out the GCF. All right, so since they are both exactly the same, we can move on. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring down just one set of the parentheses. I mean, why have both of them when they're exactly the same? So we brought down one of the parentheses. That's gone. That's gone. Now we look at the two things on the outside. All we do is just put them in parentheses by themselves. So 4v squared plus 5. And that is it. That is all we do when we're factoring by grouping. Now, when you're solving for v, that's where we set both sets of parentheses equal to 0, and we solve for v. But we're not doing that right now. All we're doing when they ask you to factor each completely, they're asking for this form, just like factoring trinomial or factoring out the GCF. And so think of this as just factoring out the GCF for the first 2 terms and then factoring out the GCF for the second 2 terms and then just combining them each. If you have any questions, please let me know. Message me on Schoology, message me on the group feed, and I will have a conference one-on-one with you, and I will show you as many problems as you need to. But I hope this helps. And so I'm going to give y'all, just like the previous days, a worksheet with 10 problems. I want you to complete it on a notebook, piece of paper, and take a picture and send it to me. All right. Let me know if you need anything.